All right, before we get started, I want to reflect two things. First, even though I heard some great praising while I was downstairs fighting with the Keurig machine, and some wonderful prayer, I'd like to open up with one anyways. I don't figure we can never have too much. So, thank you, Lord, for the amazing lives we've been graced with, this beautiful place we can call home for this season, the lessons that we are learning each day, and the love and trust that we gain from each other as we take the journey in this learning. Please bless Tony, Rick, Dane, and the entire team so they may continue to inspire and lead. And may each of us who come in each week have the hearts to listen, hear, and deliver messages that can make each and every life richer and better with your word, better understood as we move forward in this world you've given to us. We do this in perpetual and everlasting thanks for the sacrifice of our Lord Jesus Christ that eradicated our sins so that we may live with a peaceful heart and a road back to your side. Amen. All right, before I get started, I want to ask a couple questions. I think I mentioned before in the business world, I think between 2003 and 2009, I taught about 5,000 financial advisors how to be mission ethically consistent in their business practices. Since then, converting it to leadership groups and churches is probably maybe 100. It's much smaller because you got a team of 6, you got a team of 8, you got a team of 4. And when I made certain references, kind of like to too many hats in your times, I get half the room going, oh yeah, I know what that feels. Everyone here has been very polite and attentive, but I get kind of a different feel. So I want to get a sense of what your experience is. As I think I shared before, I've taught 30 to 70-year-olds, 40 to 70-year-olds. I've never actually taught students before. This is a first. And so some of the challenges that you have at 40 are very different than 21 or 19. And as I saw yesterday after lunch, and by the way, my wife was just on fire with enthusiasm after yesterday, so she's got a little better about what time to be down at the door, so I'm going to pick her up again and bring her back today. So I hope maybe to get to table 2 or table 1 and have a chance for you guys to meet her. She was on fire. It's just awesome. So thank you for all of you for being so welcome who had a chance to talk to her. But I register, you have a very different sort of look on your life experience when you're 43 and trying to manage a house, take care of your kids, worry about your aging parents, run a business, and be active in your community and the whole bit. And the influences that really draw on you, that a lot of this content is really designed to help you navigate through and stay true to what we know is right in a world that tells you every day that something else is right or your opinion matters, not our Lord's. So how many people here have actually have like been to a big public high school or university where you have the giant 200, 300 people classes where you have all the different forces and energies? Okay, so maybe half of you. How many have ever worked in a sort of what I call the corporate environment? The Target, the bigger place, not the mom and pop coffee shop, but where you've had the bureaucratic nonsense. Okay, a couple of you, but not everybody. No, you get in those environments where your coworker may not be your great partner all the time because they want to show you up to get the better position or the better hours or the better job. You'll find, I can't speak to your experience, but as I get into some of this material, it killed me how the organization that built it had to order it. They had to order it with the presumption that you actually had to get people think about what integrity was before you could give them a task. It wasn't innate. That's not you, but it's going to surround you one day. So I'm going to alter a little bit I'm going to sort of try a different approach and really think of these as giving you tools when you're out in the world 2 years from now, 5 years from now, 10 years from now. If you can remember any part of this, hopefully you will, that then you might reflect back and grab some of these tools to help protect you from the influences that are going to show up. And actually, not that I don't think any of you are there, but Dane's Bible study right now is actually perfect for that, for getting into that. So with that in mind, we'll go by my new and improved, fire hose. Now, all of you are probably building out your own library of the faith-based books. Who is it Dane calls MacArthur, Johnny Mac, for John MacArthur? He has excellent writings, everything from the simple workbooks up to everything else. There's a number of really good authors, and we build libraries. As you move in life, there are other books you can grab that help you in not just taking what you learn in the library, but then order it and execute it through the day. You don't need, like me, 2 bookshelves this long with it, because I've kind of made it a life's mission to figure out how to apply it every day with a zillion outside influences. But I just recommend that when you find something that sings to you, keep it and use it as a reference. These things do come. I actually have extra copies of some of the ones if anyone wants to look at them. And even inside the industries, this is in my industry, we have Kingdom Advisors, which is a special Christian-based learning, support, ethics organization for those in the financial advising business, where you keep, again, once a year, you get with fellow believers, you work together, and it's really good for recentering. So wherever you end up in life, go find one, because it really does help when you can get back. And so whether you're in the medical field or you're a therapist or you're working in any organization, probably short of in a church itself, these are out there and they're extremely, extremely helpful. So now, back to our regular ordered program, built into 2 parts, now we get 3. Good, we have more discussion. What I'm about to share with you is actually pretty old. Some of you may know this already. It's actually massively worse. But within our world, when you think of employees, over half of employees in a company don't feel safe expressing openly without fear of retribution. Now in 2006 it was 52%, it's now in the 70s. One of my projects for the fall was to update this, didn't get to it, spent too much time in the hospital. I live by the principles of my success is your success. Less than a third now, it's about 20%. Particularly COVID really turned a lot of these things on their heads. People are treated fairly. Favoritism is not a problem. That's now up to about 60. We don't undermine each other. That's about a half. You find in that world, it is not this group. And as I say, I'm going to quote it again. It just warmed my heart when I heard the chatting at that table at the coffee place last week, to have someone say, "Boy, these are my best friends." Yes, in this group, people are going to lift you up and help you and encourage you. The world is going to be full of things that are going to take you down. And right now, you want to be treated well. You just walk into a big business environment and say, "Hey, I'm a Christian and I'm going to live that way." Trust me, it's not a happy response. You'll be shunned and shut out. "Oh, then therefore you're a misogynist, you're a supremacist, you're evil, you think I'm terrible." The presumptive discrimination that's out in the rest of the world is there. And we need the tools to stay strong through it. Employees have trust and confidence in senior management. It was about half in 2006. It's now about 30%. That's really comfortable. Senior management behaves actually consistent with the company's, what the little mission statement says. It's now about 40%. So they've got a nice little poster on the wall hanging in your break room, and they don't actually follow it. This is what we get confronted with every day. And this is 2006, because I did my main training in the late part of that decade, is Europe's down to about 15, we're down to about 20, and Asia's down to about 30. So you're surrounded by a lack of trust in many of the institutions that we kind of depend on to make things work, you know. When's that pothole going to get fixed? What is this crazy policy? I mean, during COVID, you know, go lock down and behave, but I'm going out to dinner with my friends. You go, you know, what's that all about? This is what's going to surround you when you leave here. And so I tenor a lot of what I share, as I say, as a toolbox to stay consistent with everything you hear. When I hear the lessons that you're receiving, they are awesome. But you'll also get attacked for it when you get out of this wonderful environment that you are in. Oh, the cheating. Oh, undergraduate business. This was back a decade ago. 73% of all undergraduate business students admitted to cheating. Well, those are only the ones who admitted it. What is it, 85% cheat? And when I did my first round in college in the 1970s, there was no computer. I typed my thesis on a typewriter. There was no word processor, it didn't exist. Or the papers I wrote in high school. I've looked at some of them. How the professors figured out the gibberish that was my typing was impressive. When I got my master's, just this last couple of years, we now have computers. Everything I wrote got submitted to a plagiarism program. Have any of you else experienced this? Yeah. And it was interesting to pick up because one person in my church was also at Grand Canyon University, and we would get caught with each other because we would use quotes when writing about our church. We would quote the church mission. And then he would be asked, we're showing this in another student's paper, please explain it. Well, this is the mission of my church. It's go to our website. I'm just putting it there. And I had to write, no, it's the mission of our church. Somebody else from my church must be in school. Even 3 sentences, boom, got it. And when I talk to some of the professors, they say, you would not believe some of the stuff we get. Where somebody finds something on the web, just cut and paste it and stick their name on it, knowing they got to send it to a computer. So the world on the outside is very different, and it really slows the process, everything down. I got to submit my paper to Lopes Write, that's then going to compare it to the world, and then wait 15, 20 minutes, go look at my comparative, whatever it is, what it does. Sometimes I'd submit, sometimes actually would find typos that I liked, and then go resubmit it. But everything about that lack of trust, you guys really aren't that, some of you are old enough, but I remember when you used to just park your car at the airport and walk to the gate. Now you better put that 45 minutes waiting in line to take your shoes off, holding your hands over your head, get zapped. The low trust environment slows Oh.
Yeah, like Home Alone where they just run on the plane.
They just run on the plane.
How did they do that?
No, that was it. That was how it worked. You just parked your car and you walked up to the gate and you got on your airplane. And it's every lack of trust just slows everything you're part of it down. And so we can't fix that. But if you are the trusted person and you have that trust and you operate in it, your world can speed up. Because then when someone works with you, they're not going to ask you 20 questions. They're not going to ask you to prove it. They're going to, when you say something to them or say, yeah, I'll take care of that, they go, great. One thing I don't have to worry about. Because they're going to trust you to deliver. You're not going to say, hey, I'll do it, if you're not going to do it. I don't know, how many of you ever been in a student group where 3 or 4 students get together when you have a project and one person just kind of goes, great, you guys can do the work or whatever and I want the grade. How many of you experienced that? That's no different with a team at a retail store, in a corporate world, in a marketing department. I've seen it in the churches I've been part of, where people, and that can be a real test. But either way, these pressures are to come. Everybody know what FOMO is?
Yep, fear of missing out.
Fear of missing out. Boy, I'll tell you, the rationalized stuff, I used to see it in my world, and people in my world, we made a good living. And I'd see people shoveling, where do they go, notebooks and legal pads and stuff into their briefcase. They go, oh, yeah, my kids needs a couple of things for school. I said, but that's not yours. Oh yeah, we got a supply room. I'm just going to go in and grab what I need. And I'm thinking, you're making over $100,000 a year and you're stealing pencils? Oh no, but there are plenty of them. Everybody does it. Whew. I mean, get this. Scary statistic, particularly in my world, which I'll share in a minute. Roughly 1 in 19 working age Americans get some sort of disability check from Social Security. So next time you're in a big box store and you look down the aisle and you see 20 people, one of them's maybe getting a check. And you go to the next aisle and one of them gets a check. And you look at them and you hear the stories about, yeah, my buddy gets Social Security. What's he doing today? So, oh man, he plays golf every afternoon. Well, how in the world are you playing golf with a disability check? Well, everybody else does it. That rationalization is crazy. And part of the reason I know that statistics, for those of you who see my wife, she was denied disability from Social Security.
It's pretty much similar with unemployment nowadays.
Yeah.
They're encouraged to go on unemployment.
Or you just play a game. There's another island I go to at times called Martha's Vineyard off Cape Cod. And there's a whole culture there of working full-time in the summer. And then when all the summer jobs end, you don't want to be there in the winter. It's really cold, damp, and nasty. It's not like here. And you go on the unemployment in the winter, then you go back and make your money in the summer, then you go back on unemployment in the winter, and you just play this cycle. And then there's peer pressure. And I thought peer pressure is another one. You get it. I can't imagine what you guys deal with, because I remember feeling peer pressure, but that was before social media and all this other stuff. I'm thinking I was your age in 1974, 1975. They didn't even have a little computer. The idea of a smartphone was Star Trek, all right? You know, which actually a flip phone and a Star Trek thing actually look kind of alike, but that for us was fantasy. That was science fiction. Little did we know that we'd actually go past the flip phone. And so the peer pressure that's going to be on you is going to be amazing. And I thought what Dane was teaching was a really wonderful sort of opening on that, because Galatians, have you guys studied Galatians or reviewed it? Read it. I mean, the idea that Peter and this group were shifting back to legalism as more traditional Jews who claim themselves as Christians, that were coming from Jerusalem and elsewhere, and said, well, I know we've got this new great thing of faith, but you know, you really do need to get circumcised, and we really do need to do the feast like this, and we're going to do it. And then over time, Peter starts to drift back into, yeah, we should require it. That's exactly everything that Jesus undid, was that legalism.
Is that where he gets reprimanded?
What?
Is that where the letter he gets reprimanded in?
Big time. That's 5:11 is where, I don't know their relative sizes, but Paul got in Peter's face, and it definitely was a moment, you know, to get on there. And you of all the things, apostles should have known better. But the peer pressure, you shifted back in the way, and we're going to get. I feel it when I'm in the business world, and as you guys live here, you're going to feel it too. So as I talk about some of the habits and some of the things today, some of you, and I totally get this, may look at it in the context of, yeah, but that's not a problem. That's because this is an amazing universe you're in. Relish this moment of time you have. This is a beautiful thing. When you're out in the other world, you're going to get assaulted with all sorts of distractions, people trying to explain to you why it's better to behave badly. Bizarre as it sounds, it's coming. So if they can do it, we can do it. Now the beauty, as I said, is we're different. And we want to keep the difference. Because we start with a higher calling. We get things that others don't. It kills me sometimes because the peace it gives you and the ability to get through the day. People ask me, like, you seem so relaxed with these tough decisions. It's like, no, they're not tough decisions. There's a right way to do it. You seem so comfortable. Yeah, there's a right way to do it. And here we're going to think about it and do it. I don't stress about a lot of the decisions I make because I have this incredible roadmap right over there. Love the tabs and all the colors on it. We start with a mission. We start with the foundations. And so priorities are in a different order. And I'm going to skip through some of the stuff I do for the business slides because you're not there yet. As I looked at you so relaxed yesterday afternoon, kind of, hanging out, looking at your phones, playing music, I thought, okay, you've been spared that stress, which is good. But just like everything we learn from the Bible, getting great habits involves the skills and how to desire to want to, that vision we want to lead to, and the knowledge, bingo, of where it comes from. Right now it's pretty easy because you're not being distracted. You will be later. Now the Covey organization has done a phenomenal job really encapsulating that. They did some mergers, they did some business things that didn't work well for them. And Dad did this first, and then their son did some other work, which is really good. And they really got a lot done with it. They started with an order of being proactive, then beginning with the end in mind, so you knew where you needed to go, and then prioritizing. I never talked to Stephen, the dad, who's passed away, but I had some pretty long discussions with his son at some of the meetings I was at. Well, shouldn't you begin with the end of mind first? And so we had the whole, what I call chicken. Let me get to my great picture here. There we go. I'll come back to it. My chicken and the egg, which comes first? And I said, well, shouldn't you have a sense of where you're going before you want us to be energized to get there? And they said in so many organizations and so many groups, they're so broken, so many hidden agendas, so many people afraid to speak out. You actually had to train them to be enthusiastic about going somewhere or being honest about it before you could give them a goal. And I thought that is so sad that you can't give a goal for a group until you broke their bad habits because their habits were so bad. And that just absolutely killed me. But that was the world that we lived in.
John Enns gave us a perfect example of that with the high schoolers here on Thursday nights. He's like, some of them are Christians, some of them are not. He's like, I spent a full 2 minutes as a worship leader just talking to them and being like, hey, we're here to lead you in worship to God. And if you want to be a part of that, that's great. If you don't, then just be quiet, but don't be disrespectful. He's like, it took 2 or 3 minutes just to establish that before we went into worship.
Yeah, or yes, you might end up with a very disrespectful, situation where it's like in the culture today. I'm sure you've seen it on the news, seen it in other places. Boy, like I said, you proclaim yourself a Christian, you can give yourself, be ready. This room, awesome. Around the place, probably okay. You start doing that at your entry-level job at Target, it's going to be, people will put barriers around you. And so there's an order, which I'll talk with it. But we've got our calling about leading. I loved it. When I asked you what the commission was, you chanted it together. I love that. The fact you were all so tuned into that, where we want to become our apostles, lead people to Jesus, teach people to follow, and then with luck, they go out and bring more people to Jesus. What a great job that is. Luke basically challenged us to do that all. So what we do is we've seen God transforming our lives, transforming the lives around us. And we have one message with one voice, with one purpose coming from, glad you have this up front, how convenient, from this book. Hopefully that is a Bible, right? Oh yeah, good. So we have our one purpose, and that's how we're going to go. Now, at this point in your life, you don't have, I saw it yesterday afternoon. One of my things in the corporate world is, and in your adult world, is right now you got about 2 or 3 hats. Obviously, you take care of yourself. I'm here at school. I want to engage in my friends. And then it's kind of, you've only got about 3, 4 hats. Think about 10 or 15 years from now when you've got a family possibly to work for, you're now in a career, working in a church, a business, all of the above. You're going to have a whole stack of these pulling you in every direction. And we need to prepare to fight that. And when it comes to what I call our secular leadership, those who are led to lead us, and I don't know how many of you are going to recognize these guys. This is the special leadership team of Dewey, Cheatham, and Howe. Who here can actually name them? You think you can get all three?
Is it Larry, Harry, and Mo?
Curly. Larry, Curly, and Mo. I grew up watching these guys on black and white, maybe on MeTV. You might find them at 3 o'clock in the morning as a fill-in. They were known as the Three Stooges, and they were a comedy act in the 30s, 40s. And they have little black and white. They were just stupid. They were always hitting each other with hammers and nailing each other's feet to the floor and other crazy stuff like that. But as much as we may laugh about them and we say, well, do we cheat them and how? What a great name for a firm. But when you look at the kind of leadership around, you just kind of have to register what agendas these people have and get used to it and be strong enough to get through it. So I'll go back to my creating a destiny. We have to have our own vision. And when this is out here and this is out here, no matter how strong the FOMO is, no matter how strong the peer pressure is, we stick with our one vision and our actions need to match it. So we always keep that chicken and the egg in the right direction for us. All right, now, when I do I part one of the three first parts of that inner strength we'll get. I'm actually switching the order of the traditional way you would look at this and not starting with proactiveness, but starting with the end in mind. You know, who I am as I drive to that end, how do I earn the trust of others? Each step in my life is consistent. How do we do that? When you move into those leadership positions, and you will have those opportunities. The number one way to break through all the things around you, the hidden agendas, the secondary things, all the rest of them, is earning the trust of the people you're working with. The Bible is very clear that we should be people of trust. There's standards, and that's where that wonderful Venn diagram picture they have works, what they describe it. But there's certain ways to simply act and behave amongst ourselves. Now, I'm talking about how we actually behave that'll earn it, because trust, like love, is a very special thing. It can only be granted. You can't take it. I cannot have any of you trust me. I have to earn that. Now, as respect, you can say, well, for teachers, it kind of comes that way. But to really get it, I have to earn that. Jesus and God has earned our love and earned our trust. But as a person, you're going to need to earn it from the people around you. And to make the differences you'll want to make in your lives, that's how we would want to do it. And boy, you were right. I'm looking around. Anybody need to take a nap? Or am I that boring? No. You guys look exhausted. I'm used to seeing this look on day 4 of a conference about 4 in the afternoon. All right, at the next break, everybody is in charge to go get themselves a nice cup of coffee.
This has been a long week for some reason. Does anybody agree with that?
Hey, it's Wednesday.
I know. It's crazy.
It's Wednesday. All right. Well, we get through this and we get into our next hour. Everybody I heard your wonderful singing this morning. You know, let's try to keep that going here. So the first thing I want to approach is a thinking process that may be innately obvious, but it's one we really need to always have when you're approaching and working in any organization, committee, dealing with anybody else, and that's how we think about how we're going to make our difference or what we're trying to accomplish. And I think this image of a tree, to me, is so perfect because the foundation we have is our character, the integrity, the intent, and that is foundationally in everything we've read and studied. That's wonderful, but when we want to make an impact on the world, we also want to have the competence, the ability to then make a difference and use it. Competence without that character, that's scary. That's people accomplishing something with no moral compass. You can go through history, conquerings, leaders, the wars. Things are generated horrible around the history of man with people who were basically competent but had no character. And I don't want to take anything away from delightful people, but probably most of us know some of really delightful, wonderful people, but just probably not a great idea to give them a project because it'll get confused or undone, and the 1-hour project will be a 4-hour project and you'll have to fix it.
The one person that wants to be there for everyone, but he can't.
He can't.
So he never gets anything done.
Yeah, there's a lot. And so you need that balancing act to do both. And then the thinking process when you go to deliver, so you can earn that competency trust, with others. Here we go. I ran out of, literally back in a past life, I had boxes and boxes and boxes and boxes of all these things. I've run out, but if you could pass some of these out to just share and look at. One for me. You guys in the back. And this again is where, I don't know where I set I think I have the car key thing going here. I didn't remember where I put down this. This is again a little sad statement about the outside world. You would think that the first thing, if you're going to accomplish something, is you have to understand what it is. What's the intent of why we're getting together? But in fact, organizationally, they had to teach integrity first. What does that tell you about the world? I had some very enlightening but really challenging conversations, with Stephen M.R. Covey. And he said, yeah, you could have been the different order, but we really felt we needed integrity first, was you needed to set a standard where people understood what integrity was.
Well, it makes sense if people aren't following the Bible and learning integrity there. Where are they learning it?
Yeah, well, a lot of integrity is self-driven. And some people are actually quite honest without biblical, but others you can rationalize when there's profit for you or benefit for you, amazingly dumb stuff when you don't have a compass. And so they start with integrity. I happen to believe that you actually should start with intent, but either way, the idea of this is that when we go in, okay, what is it we want to accomplish? I'm going to go right. Oops, how do we get the sound on? I'm going to go back for a second. And then I'm going to need help from you, Cooper, to figure out how the sound goes on.
Yeah, no, it should just kick right in.
Let me make sure my little speaker is actually, sorry to be technologically challenged. Anyone over 65 is automatically given a pass, right? Speaker is Samsung.
Yeah. If you're plugged into HDMI, it should just pick it up.
I should what?
Is it a video or just an audio?
It's a video.
So if you just click on the video, I bet we'll be good to go. I bet it'll play through the TV automatically.
Okay. All right, so when we...
What he just did, I don't know.
Now I stopped this thing from working.
You might have to click it with the mouse. I don't know if the clicker will actually...
No, but I mean, I've just stopped the whole thing from working. I've become my own worst enemy. Oh, we got noise. Yeah, let's go. Oh, we got to restart the show.
Do you know where that?
Yeah.
Which one it was?
Let's get just on to...
Slide before or something.
Let's just go back to there, and we'll do slideshow from current slide.
Let's do this.
Hopefully in the back you hit the pause button. There we go.
That's it.
Okay, bingo. Now we'll see if it starts again.
Yeah.
All right, magic, he touched it, it'll work now. But as going back to, we think about, all right, we approach what we do with integrity, but we then also want to deliver. And this is a sequence. I'll review it a bit more in a moment. Here we go.
Your integrity, your intent, your capabilities, and your record of results.
Can you turn it down a little bit?
The first two are character issues. The last two are competency issues. I call these the four cores of credibility, because your credibility rests upon your character and your competence. Take the core issue of integrity. In the third round of the Italian Masters tournament, tennis champion Andy Roddick was paired against Fernando Verdasco. It was match point in favor of Roddick. Verdasco hit the ball, the line judge called it out, and the crowd assumed Roddick had won the match.
The double fault call. It's all over. Oh, wait a minute. No, it's not over.
But Roddick pointed out to the umpire a slight indentation on the clay court, which showed that the ball had landed on, not beyond the line. Everyone was amazed. Roddick had made a call against himself, and as a result, he lost the point and he went on to lose the match. But he gained something far greater. He gained credibility and trust. How do you think the umpires are going to respond the next time Andy Roddick challenges the call?
An extraordinary match to witness. He's one of the love of friends.
He's such a great guy on off the court. What we saw there just typifies the young man.
All credibility begins with integrity, but it doesn't end there.
So my question, is there a better, greater example than you have incredible competence, you're under great pressure, and you demonstrate your integrity through the entire process? I don't know how many of you professional athletes have ever seen one call themselves for being out of bounds. I mean, as I watch, I don't know if any of you watched any of the NFL playoffs, but I'd almost laugh sometimes as you're watching the replay and somebody's foot about 2 feet out of bounds, and all their teammates are going, yeah, it was in, and I'm looking going, nah, not by a bit. So, who would you trust, to lead your team while you're on vacation? Okay, you're gone somewhere. Who would you trust with the pin? Any of you got debit cards? Yeah. So the question is, who would you trust with your pin? How about your child or your favorite pet? All right, you don't have kids yet, but these are the questions then. Who trusts you? So who do you want to be? Do you want to be, not that you're going to ask anyone, like, hey, give me your pin, but in the realm of character among the people you're going to know for the rest of your life, what standard do you want to have? Do you want to be the person who you trust, that someone trusts to go, oh my gads, I all of a sudden have to leave town. My mom had a stroke. Can you take care of X? That's the person that we would want to be. So, before we go into our next little wrap up, and then we'll take a break and everybody can go get some caffeine, think about yourself. What are the qualities that you see yourself having that says, yes, I can be trusted? It's not a trick question. I don't want to put anybody on the spot.
If someone tells you something, keep it confident unless they tell you that it's okay to share.
Yeah, you can be trusted in confidence. We'd like to be trusted with a pin. What are some other qualities you might have that says, I can be trusted? Oh yeah, confidence is a big one. That is a huge one. If you want to eliminate trust with somebody in a flash of a second, violate confidence. Now there is a rule on that. If somebody confidence something where they might hurt themselves or hurt somebody else, well, yeah, then you put it up with it. But when somebody gives you a confidence and you're there to listen, to be their person, that trust is something you need to honor to the wall. That's what'll earn it for you in the future, and it'll burn it faster than anything else, and we'll get into that with the behaviors. Yes, sir.
Consistency.
Yeah. You say, yeah, I'm going to do that. And you're the one that goes, yeah, he said he's going to be there at 2. Man, I know he's going to be there at 2. I can try. What?
Punctuality.
Yeah, punctuality.
Non-judgmental.
Very, very important. Particularly, and we're going to get into this in the next hour, as the power of listening. To listen without judgment. Woohoo! How's that for a test? Anybody over here listened and then tried to answer the question or think about how you're going to deal with it before you actually heard it all? To be a really good listener, to be there for someone who needs it, you want to listen with judgment. It is not our job to judge, but it is our job to be there when we're needed.
Honesty.
Honesty. Yes, that is a fundamental, and that's part of where we had all those Venn diagrams, was being honest encompasses the same part of earning trust as well. It means having confidence is you're being trusted to hear things. When you say something, you'll actually deliver them so they trust you that, boy, I know I can work with him because he's going to be good. I know they're going to be honest, and when they handle the cash register, if they earn $300 at the garage sale for the church, that $300 is going to go in the coffer. And those are the kinds of qualities that you want to demonstrate so that you can know you can be trusted. Let's see what's next for coming up to a break. And trust comes in 2 ways. It can be a character quality and a competence both. I trust you to listen, and I trust you to be on time. Those are the things that we earn that make all the difference in how we relate to others. And I'll do one more or 2 more things, and then we'll take a break. And when you deliver that, and I'll get into this in more detail in a bit, it doesn't just impact you because it begins to impact others. I cannot make someone happy. I can make somebody different. But when people see how you are, they have faith in you are, they look at the comfort you have in yourself, it starts to radiate out. When you extend trust to someone else and they choose to live up to it, then they will come into that circle and you will start to make a difference. And it works its way out. And it actually, in some organizations, in the right leadership, it can make a real difference.
Like a drop of water in a pond. If you yourself are trustworthy, you create a ripple effect. You produce 5 waves of trust. The first wave, self-trust, is about you and your credibility. The second wave, relationship trust, is about your behavior. The third wave is about the alignment in your organization. Market trust, the fourth wave, is about your organization's reputation. And the fifth wave is societal trust, making contributions in the world. The only way to have influence in any area is to begin in the center. All 5 waves start with you.
Yes, all 5 waves start with you, with self-trust. Trusting in yourself and then earning it in how you behave with each other person and every day. That book gives us a wonderful guide map of all the different ways to think about it. I love the way it's overlapping, so it can't be legalistic, but there are also specific behaviors we need to do. And so what I'm going to do right now is we're going to take a break. I'm going to skip through some of this. We're going to take a break, and because it's now 9:45, so you've had 45 minutes. Let's take a break, stretch our legs, get a little coffee, get what we need to do, and then let's have a real nice discussion about how we go about actually executing this.